Hello and welcome back to the Magic Mindfulness Podcast. I am your host, Rachel Hupp, and today we're going to be diving into a topic that is very close to my heart, and that is the power of self-trust. There seems to be this quiet epidemic among women in midlife, women that I interact with the most, and it's not what you might think. It's not about your hormones or empty nests, although those are certainly factors as well, but it's more about trust. Self trust, to be exact. And I feel like this is an often overlooked issue, and it's at the root of so many of our struggles, from decision making paralysis, analysis paralysis, to staying in situations that no longer serve us. So today we are going to be unpacking this issue, and I want to try to give you some tools to help reconnect with and reclaim your inner wisdom so that you can live a more wildly aligned, a more authentic life. So, in today's episode, we are going to be exploring the challenge of lacking self trust, particularly for women in midlife. We'll discuss how this can show up, how it can manifest in our daily lives, why it is not your fault, and the amazing transformation that is possible when you start to trust yourself, when you start to reclaim and reconnect with your sense of inner trust. So, I'll share a little bit about my own personal journey. And then we're going to be diving into 5 practical strategies that you can start using today to help you to rebuild your sense of trust in yourself. My intention, my hope is that by the end of this episode, you will have a more clear understanding of why self trust is so important, along with some concrete steps that you can take to start living a more authentic, aligned life starting today. So, I'm going to invite you to just take a deep breath before we dive in. Take a deep breath. Gently let it go. And I'll invite you to imagine that you are at a crossroads in your life. You are facing a big decision. And instead of feeling excited about it, you feel stuck. The weight of the decision, the weight of the choice that you have to make feels overwhelming. And you are caught in this endless loop of what ifs. And you can't stop thinking about the worst case scenarios. What if you make the wrong decision? I've been there. You've probably been there. It's frustrating, right? It's exhausting. It's like your inner compass is broken. It is unable to point you in the right direction. You want clarity. You want that gut feeling that says, this is the right path. You want to trust in that inner knowing, but self-doubt drowns out your intuition and it leaves you feeling lost and unsure. Now, I'll invite you to picture yourself in a room full of people. You might be at work, you might be with family or friends, and you have something important to say. Your heart starts to race, your palms start to sweat, and the words are right there. But when it's time to speak up, you stay quiet. That fear of judgment or not being good enough or saying the wrong thing holds you back. You watch chances to express your true feelings, your desires, your wants, your needs. You watch these chances, these opportunities to speak your truth slip away. And over time, at least this has been my experience, this silence weighs on you. You start to feel disconnected, like you're playing a role in your own life instead of being your real self, your true self. I don't know if you can relate to either of those. They've certainly manifested in my own life. And what I found is that this disconnection often keeps us in situations that don't work for us anymore. So maybe it's a draining job, maybe it's an unfulfilling relationship, maybe it's a lifestyle or a habit that doesn't fit your values. Deep down, you know you're meant for more, but fear of the unknown or disappointing others keeps you stuck. It's like wearing shoes that are too tight. They're uncomfortable, but they're familiar. This idea of stepping into the unknown can be scary, even if it could lead to something better. And this lack of self-trust, it doesn't just affect the big moments in our lives, right? It seeps into our daily experiences in subtle but significant ways. Now, in your daily life, this lack of self-trust, this inability to trust yourself can show up, like I said, in small ways, but they're important ways. You can maybe find yourself putting other people's expectations before your own wants, needs, and desires. You say yes when you really want to say no. Maybe you're shaping your goals, your actions, your daily activities to fit somebody else's idea of success. You may even find yourself asking for opinions before making decisions, whether they're big or small, instead of trusting your gut and making the decision on your own. So, whether it's getting everyone's thoughts on a new hairstyle or waiting for your boss's okay before starting on a new project, you've gotten used to letting others steer your path, making your choices for you. And I think maybe most telling of all, at least in my own experience, so maybe you can relate, is this feeling like you are on autopilot, like Groundhog Day, right? If you've seen the movie, going through your life without really feeling present or purposeful, like you're just going through the motions. Every day blends into the next, and you can't shake this feeling that you're missing out on the life that you are meant to live. Here's the thing, my friend. If any of this resonates with you, it is not your fault. Think about it. We live in a world that so often values external validation over inner wisdom, inner guidance. We are disconnected. From a very young age, we are taught to seek approval, to follow the rules, and to fit in. Add to that the unique challenges of midlife, shifting roles, changing bodies, societal expectations, and it is no wonder self trust can feel elusive. It can be hard to tap into that inner knowing, that intuition. It's like we're trying to hear our voice, our inner voice, while the world is turning up the volume on everything else. But recognizing that we're not trusting ourselves, that we're not trusting our intuition, our inner guidance, that, my friend, is actually the first step towards reclaiming it. And that is exactly what we're going to be exploring next. So here's the exciting part. When you start to trust yourself, to tap into that inner knowing, to reclaim your self trust, everything begins to shift. Then you are turning up the volume on your own inner wisdom and you're turning down the noise around you, those external expectations. When you begin to truly trust yourself, decision making becomes less daunting. I'm not going to say it's fun. I still don't like to make a decision, but it does become less daunting. There's this sense of calm clarity because you're able to tune into your gut instincts and to make choices that truly resonate with you. Speaking up, it becomes easier too, allowing you to express your thoughts and your feelings more freely, setting healthy boundaries, and advocating for your needs without that nagging fear of judgment. There's a saying that stuck with me. I don't remember where I heard it, but it's speak your truth with a gentle understanding. And I feel like I carry that around with me like a mantra these days. It's not easy to speak up necessarily, but we get into the habit of trusting ourselves. We have that inner knowing that we need to advocate for ourselves, and we can speak our truth with a gentle understanding. So let me share a quick personal story with you that kind of helps to illustrate this transformation. So a few years ago, I found myself juggling a full-time job, family and home responsibilities, remodeling a fixer-upper, my passion for yoga and coaching, along with my own self-care, my own health, my own well-being. I had shaped my goals to fit what I thought was expected of me, right? So climbing the corporate ladder, buying before this a big to me house. So I did all that. I thought I was checking off the boxes. You may have heard me talk about this before. Deep down, I knew something wasn't quite right. I felt stretched thin. I was always rushing from one thing to the next. I never felt like I was fully present anywhere. And so I always felt like I was, I should be doing this or needed to be doing that. And I wasn't really enjoying the day-to-day moments of my life, the moments that make up this experience of life, right? I was missing out because I was just overdoing, overgiving, overstretched. And I was on a path that wasn't mine. Like I said, my inner compass was broken. It took time, it took courage. I'm not going to say this is an overnight transformation by any means, but as I started to tune into how I felt as I moved throughout my days, I started to notice these nudges, right? I started to listen to my inner voice, things that felt aligned, things that didn't feel aligned. And so over time, I made what to me felt like a very bold decision to step off of what I felt was a traditional career path I decided I was going to create a life that truly resonated with me. So now I live in a little cabin in the woods. I'm surrounded by nature. I love it. I have found a position that aligns with my values and goals, allowing me to continue my full time work while pursuing my passion for yoga and coaching in a way that feels very grounded and aligned. So, this transformation over time in my own life has been incredible. I feel more energized. I feel more authentic. I feel more purposeful in my daily life. And I've got a lot less stress in my daily life and a whole lot more fun. So, like I said, this hasn't been an overnight transformation. I'm still on the path. I'm still walking the path, listening to my inner guidance, listening to those intuitive nudges. My journey isn't always easy. Life is hard sometimes, right? I still juggle multiple responsibilities, but now all of these aspects of my life feel so much more integrated, authentic, and aligned. I always like to say wildly aligned because it's just amazing to me. I never thought my life would be this incredible. And I want the same for you too, my friend. I am no longer trying to fit into a mold that doesn't suit me. My story is just one example of what's possible when you reclaim your self trust. So I would love to hear your story as well. Email me at hello@rachelhupp.com and tell me how you have transformed, how your journey to self trust has helped you transform your life, or just add it in the comments below. Now, I lost my train of thought. Yes, this journey of transformation. It is all about trusting yourself, tuning into your wisdom, and having the courage to act on it, taking that aligned and inspired action, even when it goes against conventional expectations. What feels right and good for you? And so that is exactly what we're going to explore next. I'm going to share with you some practical steps to help you to start rebuilding that trust in yourself. Now, looking back, I realized there was never just one big moment that led to change for me, but it was a series of small choices to listen to my inner voice. And I feel like that's what my clients have experienced as well. Every time we honor our own intuition, even in small ways, it becomes easier to get into the habit of trusting ourselves, even in bigger life decisions. So, without further ado, let's dive into 5 strategies that can help you to rebuild or reconnect with your sense of inner trust, your inner wisdom. So, these are practices that I have found particularly powerful, both in my own personal journey and in working with clients. So, the first one that I want to share with you is practicing mindful self awareness. So, what do I mean by that? Mindful self awareness. Well, this is all about tuning into your inner world without judgment. So, noticing what's going on inside. You might try a simple meditation practice, journaling, or even just taking a few mindful breaths throughout your day. Begin to tap into those intuitive nudges, noticing when things feel good for you, when things feel off. And the goal really is to just become more familiar with your thoughts and your feelings because when you understand yourself better, it becomes so much easier to trust your own judgment, that gut feeling, your inner nudges, your inner knowing. All right, so that was strategy number 1, practice mindful self awareness. Building on that, strategy number 2 is to listen to your body. Our bodies hold infinite wisdom that our minds, our busy minds, can easily overlook. So start to pay attention to how you feel physically when you're making decisions, when you're moving throughout your day. Does a choice make you feel tense or relaxed? Do you feel a sense of expansion or contraction? This bodily wisdom can really be a powerful guide in decision making and in just noticing how the flow of your life feels as you move throughout your day. All right, so number 3, practice saying no. Easier said than done. It's like a muscle you need to build. This one is so important, though, especially for women who have spent years putting other people's needs first. Start small if you need to, but begin saying no to things that don't align with your values or your desires. So maybe you'll practice saying no to one thing a week, one thing a month. It's what feels right for you. Remember, every no to something that doesn't serve you is a yes to yourself and to your own needs. And then cultivating self compassion. Treat yourself with the same kindness that you would offer a good friend. When you make a mistake, because we all do, instead of harsh self criticism, try offering yourself understanding and support. This creates a safe inner environment where you feel more comfortable in trusting yourself. And then finally, seek out supportive relationships. Surround yourself with people who encourage you to be your authentic self, who you feel comfortable being yourself around. This might mean deepening certain friendships, setting boundaries with others, or even seeking out and intentionally connecting with new communities that align with your values. So, to recap, the 5 strategies that I shared with you today to help you to reconnect and rebuild your own sense of self trust is practicing mindful self awareness, listening to your body, practice saying no, cultivate self compassion, and seek out supportive and loving relationships. Remember, my friend, rebuilding self trust, it's a journey, it's not a destination. It's okay to take it one small step at a time. The key here is consistency and patience with yourself. As you practice these strategies, you'll likely notice a shift. Decision making becomes easier because you're tuned into your own needs and values. You'll find yourself speaking up more, setting healthier boundaries, and feeling more aligned with your personal choices. Now, in my own journey, I have found that starting with mindful self awareness and gradually practicing saying no have been game changers. These practices helped me to tune in to what I really wanted and gave me the confidence to make bigger shifts, bigger changes. So, again, I would love to hear from you. Which of these strategies resonated with you the most? Is there one that you would like to start with this week? Remember, there is no one size fits all approach to rebuilding self trust. The key is to find what works for you and to be patient and compassionate with yourself along the way. Now, you might be wondering, how long does it take to rebuild self trust, to rebuild the sense of connection to my inner self, to my inner voice? And the truth of the matter is, there's no set timeline, right? It's a gradual process that's different for everyone. What matters most, I have found, is consistency. So even small steps taken regularly can lead to significant changes over time. So just remember, you are undoing most likely patterns that may have been in place for years. So again, be patient with yourself. And another question that comes up often is, what if I start trusting myself and I make a mistake? Now, this is a common fear, but here's the thing. We all make mistakes. Making mistakes is part of being human. It's part of our human experience. The goal is not to be perfect. It is to learn to trust that you can handle whatever comes your way. When you make a mistake, you can treat it as an opportunity to practice self-compassion and to learn from it. This resilience is actually a key part of deepening your self-trust. All right, we have covered a lot in this episode. We have explored the challenge of lacking self-trust, of not feeling in tune, of feeling disconnected with our inner voice, and how it can impact us, especially as women in midlife. We've talked about how this can show up in our daily lives, from feeling stuck at crossroads to staying silent when you have something important to say, and even remaining in situations that no longer serve us, situations that we have outgrown. We've acknowledged that it is not your fault, given the world we live in and the unique challenges of being a woman in this day and age. But the exciting part is the transformation that is possible when you start to reclaim your self trust. We've shared practical strategies to rebuild this trust, including practicing mindful self awareness, listening to your body, learning to say no, cultivating and practicing self compassion, and seeking out loving and supportive relationships. Remember, my friend, rebuilding self trust, reconnecting to your inner voice. It's a journey, it's not a destination. You're retuning that inner compass, right? So it's okay to take it one step at a time. In fact, I encourage you to take that approach. Be patient with yourself. Celebrate those small wins. I'm a big fan of celebrating. Celebrate something every day and know that you have the power You have the power within you to create a life that truly resonates with your authentic self. You've already taken the first step by recognizing the importance of self trust. Now, I encourage you to choose one strategy and start implementing it this week. Trust yourself, trust the process, and watch as your life begins to align more closely with your true desires and values. If you're ready to take the first step in rebuilding your self trust, I've created something special just for you. I have recorded a guided affirmation meditation that is designed to help you start tuning into your inner wisdom, your inner voice, and cultivating self trust. This affirmation meditation is a perfect complement to what we've talked about today. And my hope is that it will be a really powerful tool on your journey to self trust. So, to access this free meditation, just click the link down in the show notes. And when you sign up, I'll send you an email that has the link to access the meditation right there. Now, remember, my friends, small steps taken consistently truly can lead to big changes. This meditation is a beautiful way to begin or deepen your practice of self trust. So take that first step today. Your future self will thank you.